Out of the Mud Universe Studios. And Out of the Mud presents Connected and Protected with host Dehru Mitchell. Today's title is Bound to Eternity.
Bye.
And here's Dehru.
Yes, this may be slightly metaphysical, esoteric, ethereal, and abstract to those who go that way. But the sequence of words is always the same. It takes in the threefold personage of man, mind, spirit, and body. And we have always had the ability to reach into the infinity, boundaries by eternity. And this I have to read because I got it in that trance-like state that you reach when extending yourself that far, being shaped by the Aryan nostrum that are infinite without description and for their experiencing as instant as a thought to its ultimate becoming, always becoming as the transposition inevitably accesses or to utilize while transition and transforming and assimilating to the epitome of inclusion to reach the total mastery of utilization, which include its uniqueness as a marker, which could be called a legacy, which is continuous as you are always increasing as you reproduce, expand, geneticize that which you perfect into existence to accompany you throughout the existences on the having of them for the for the innumerable 36 trillion or thereabouts has been enunciated, yet increase occurs as imagination abounds to its becoming. For in its inception, its form is giving, a form is giving. Its aspects are made to sharpening, to the sharpening of the intent that it was proposed. And in doing so, in the whole of the analysis, you come into the realization that all is, and you and everything and everyone that has its connection, that are bound by eternity, prevail in whatever path they follow, for it was instituted in eternity. And you traverse the levels of, what was I say, accumulated energies and vibrations, the ones that raise you to the levels that you can go into other realms, other dimensions, so on and so forth. Because when the transparency that we see things through, because space has no real closure, as you can see from going into a door and so on and so forth, we leave ourselves open to becoming more and more aware of how we exist, even though we know it is a transitional thing in our awareness, because we know there is that time that this physical shell shall be emptied and what goes on has no knowledge of that part of deceasement. So we go ahead, and that's about the best I can explain this. You have your own ability if you choose to take it apart word by word. I used to do those videos like that. I stop it wherever I got to have an answer, Google or reach for some other reference point. But this here, as I said, I had to go over this 5 or 6 times to get my conclusions from it. And I would dare not to say that anyone else should reach the same one that I did. Otherwise, we just be walking. We probably be walking side by side and joining together in many things. And there are people that are doing so, even though they may be unaware. But the ultimate end in their meeting up would be the accumulated energies that they will still be regulating the forms of their I can't say occupation, the forms of their desires to have into those who are like desires and have the propensity, the aptitude, the abilities to fulfill them also, so that they travel down, they connect. People find themselves saying, hey, I want to do this. And I see the need for it. And that need has been passed. The ability to make further progress in a need of, I have to say, your people begins again at the stage in which it was left off. But then if you find that you are more and more involved in studying the things that are existent, that dissatisfy you, the things that are existent and they don't make you a full person, so that you have to throw off some things and put on some things and give less credit to whatever may seek to impede you from ultimately becoming all that you can for yourself first, so that you can expand it into those who are of likeness. For that's the boundaries that can't be broken. They existed there, no matter where you traverse to in any layer, dimension, platform. You are still in that boundless area. You may be at one time spotted in one spot to elevate that spot to a level where ultimately it is fulfilled as it was created to be also. But all these things are in eternity that never ends. So I have found myself many times separating from this one, floating about. And I find myself in various places that are so in I'm making my own in wondering. You understand? They give me all cause to wonder. They seem almost parallel. They seem almost the same. They seem that, but things don't be in feeling the same way because there's less of a desire to have to reach so hard into just feeling yourself and being yourself in those other areas. And the people that you have a mind to be within and for and involved with, hey, it's not a problem. They are just that. They're there for that, and you're there for that. And it doesn't include this level of whatever you want to call it. You know, it's a it's an indescribable it's an indescribable comparison, because that one is yet I don't have the descriptive ability to say fully how it is. But I go as often as I can, because that's the way that I find that I have taken very little pleasure from this, even in the things that I chose to do that were indulgent and most pleasurable to me. Just being in that outweighs it, outsees it. So now I can enjoy it, because I'm not bound to the what would you call it? Not bound to the those things that actually do bind you. Some of those things might uh, deter you from the ability to ascend, even even as you depart from this physical, that you stay on this plane. And it's not for me to give it right now. I can't fully reach that um, physical, and no, not the physical, the spiritual and the ethereal and the esoteric avenues that combine and make that, um, shall we say, an experience, a full experience that belies any of the experiences you have here. Because all of these are like programmed, or in, or you can make your way in the way that you do it for your success, or whatever they want to call it, that you get acclimates for and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, just the basic, I'm satisfied doing what I'm doing, for who I'm doing it, with myself, for being myself, and so on and so forth. It really defies all of that also, because there's nothing involved in the interactions of in that plane. It made it so um, entwining. It was like, you know, kind of like you melded into it. It became you as much as you became it, and all of those not acknowledged ways that you wanted to be, you didn't have to not want to be. You didn't have to make yourself be. You didn't have to formulate a way to be. You're just that. It was just that. In that instant, it was boundlessness before you realized that you could transverse from where you were to where you want to be, where there was a much larger grouping, and it included you and you included it, and it meshed so well that nothing about it left you any room for anything more at that time. So I felt like it's all in the fullness of, first of all, emptying to the point where you say there is more, and it has to be much, much more, because we are capable of so much in the thought patterns, the imaginations, the realizing, the envisionment of things far beyond what they are as they are today. It's also is the same as what we would say was ancient technology that far surpassed the technology of today, but yet and still it was so far in the past that it was not seen to the extent that it was explained, or um, something. Well, they say they have found a few things that are so totally uh, unrevealed and un, totally unable to be analyzed or figured out, so that it's a um, it's a technology that they are yet hoping to have the access to and find something else to project what they say mankind forward in some cases. But as you can see today, the more technology advances, the more uses there are to limit mankind's advances in the areas that they do for purposes for which they feel they can excel better, when so much is so many and all of those are left out. We still those strivings, none of that even existed. It was a wonderful thing. I can't verify that you would experience the same thing, but you know, in the first area of speaking, I'll go over it a little bit since I seem to have the time. The being shaped by Aryan nostrums, that said to me that awareness of the dimension of Orion. Nostrums were the intelligence there, and it it reached you through space and time in the formulated manner in which it existed there, and it would produce in you what you decided for it to. And that's all I can say about that. It would give you that, and it's infinite. It's there now. It'll be there within the time that you arrive, if you choose to do so, and if you do, without description, for their experiencing, as in an instant a thought. That's like you get tunnel vision, or uh, you find a way to traverse. You go across dimensions. You go across dimensions, and it's instant. It's instant. You find yourself there where you were projecting yourself, and you're there. And that is as instant as a thought. To its ultimate becoming, meaning where you're gonna be once you go through all of those dimensions, and you are in that place that you are in. You will be your ultimate. So I get the and excuse me for looking away, but I get the view of what I'm saying, not looking at the camera, but at the same time, it's hard to lower and close in the the fullness of what you are, to bring it down to this level. It's because this here, you are bombarded by it. everything that could be thought of on the basis of, I would just say, uh, supposed control, supposed control that has always been made by those who set a goal and reached it by whatever means necessary, and you being subjected to it to the point where, in having whatever you like your lifestyle to be, you found yourself subjected to going through the levels, going through the stages, going through the ways that you would reach it. And more than likely, you found it either fully interesting, fully engulfing, and you thought you were doing what you wanted to do. But so many of these things are so unnecessary. That's what I found. And to be um, fully able to yet continue without most of those, one would have to be satisfied with serving the ones that they feel they love, that loves them, and gives them some uh, measure of reciprocation, which truly, uh, you know, I can say I appreciate it, and I mean it. And others can say they appreciate it and mean it. And they don't have to be asked or told that the smallest measure of appreciation is, first of all, saying it. Second of all, is showing the appreciation through the openness and the receptiveness and the return of those same feelings that you get from appreciation, from the closeness that that person has of you in that appreciation. And we go, these are the things that people say, look, I never knew this is the way I felt about this person. Now they're gone. Or they say, we can build on this until we can build on something until there's no need to even have verbal communication about it. It enacts itself in total harmony. It enacts itself in total realization, and it enacts. It enacts itself in all of its accomplishment, while all involved are doing what they do. And if one falters and one catches that falter, it's appreciated. Or if one um, has a need, just say need, and that need is met, and it's not obligatory, it's not perpetrated on an obligation, it's not given a reciprocation point. You do as you do. You know, I like to say sometimes me, sometimes you, all the time us. You know, you ain't got it and I do, you got it too. So it was never a matter that when you go from the smallest aspect of it all the way into that realm where, you know, you really don't need nothing, but you find your energy collapsing into like a focus point where you want to send it, and you know what that energy is going to do with the receiver, with the receiving of it, with the receivers of it, with the whole aspect It says this is an elevation and it's going to improve that which you want to improve and that which you are, because all of you is bound in that. It's from the beginning, which you never was, to the point where you return to it, and you shall always go in and out, because it's boundless by eternity. And I'll break that down